Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. It's race 2 here at Hungaroring, Budapest. The skies are blue, no concerns. Obviously, we had rain before, back in qualifying 1 yesterday, and it drip-fed through the start of the morning, but today's been a very different story. And coming up here, a trip around this Formula 1 circuit, 14 turns. We'll take the drivers around. As you can see, currently venturing on the formation lap. Let's firstly take you through the starting grid. If you want to win, hire a Finn. Tuka Tappinen back on pole position again. Rafael Kamara, championship leader, joins him on the front row in second place. Brando Bador third, Ugo Gachukwu fourth, Enzo Dellini in fifth, Alessandro Giusti in sixth place, James Wharton in seventh, Pedro Clero starting in eighth place, Mathieu De Parlo in ninth, Evan Gilter then further down in 10th, Michael Belov in 11th, Zachary David in 12th, Enzo Peugeot 13th, Teofil Nile in 14th, Noah Stromstead in 15th, with Ivan Dominguez starting in 16th place, Kanato Lay in 17th, with Rinacella alongside him in 18th spot. We got Nikhil Bora in 19th, Jesse Carrasquedo in 20th, Nandavad Biran Bakhti in 21st place, Marta Garcia starts 22nd, Ruiki Liu in 23rd, Nico Lacorte in 24th, Roman Andriolo in 25th, Alex Sauer starts 26th, with Giovanni Maschio in 27th, Edgar Pierre in 28th, with Lena Bula starting 29th, Isaac Barashi in 30th place, with Yu Zhigao in 31st, with Yaroslav Vasalaho starting in 32nd place. So those are all the cars getting set to race here around Hungaroring, and the grandstands are rammed to the rafters. We've got plenty of people here, all arriving from all across Hungary, and many travelling as well, looking to check out some, a motorsport feast, and we're going to get a lot of it here. The last of the cars now making their way up to the tail end of the field. The front row is tantalising and mouth-watering. Tuka Tappinen going fastest in qualifying, despite being part of the first group that went out. Of course, he achieved pole yesterday off the back of achieving the fastest lap when Group B went up in second. Obviously, they had the optimal track in the second part of qualifying 1. And in qualifying 2, despite being the first group out, he took pole nonetheless. But he's got the brilliant Brazilian Rafael Kamara alongside him. Championship leader on the left of your screen. On the right, the man in P2, all 5 lights are lit, and it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Great start from Tuka Tappinen, covers off Rafael Kamara instantly and straight away. Brando Bador also now looking to try and take an opportunity. Ugo Gachukwu in the McLaren livery down the inside as well. Kamara meeting Tuka Tappinen with every toe coming through turn 1 as they look to make their way down through towards turn 2. This time, a chance here for Ugo Gachukwu to brandish his Prema into this P1 fight. Still though, it's Tappinen who leads the way alongside wheel to wheel. We've got a spinner further back, I think, as well. Not quite sure who that was, but a sea of cars coming through out of turn 2, many of them running wide, and RPM running wide of them all there, coming through out of turn 2, out of turn 3, through towards turn 4. Ugo Gachukwu up into second place. He's had a fantastic start to this race, moving up one of his better qualifying sessions so far this season, as Tappinen looks to consolidate up at the front. Movements further back as we now see the 22 of Pedro Clero going in on the attack. It looks like one of the ARTs running off wide. That's Alessandro Giusti, who has had to cut away coming out of turn 7. And I don't think he was the only one. Maybe a few cars getting tangled further back. But what a start to this race, ladies and gentlemen. Again, another car running off wide. That is the Van Amersfoort, I believe, further back. I think it might have been Ivan Dominguez getting caught out wide further back. But it's Tappinen who leads. Ugo Gachukwu in second. Rafael Kamara in third place, losing out against his teammate, the Ferrari Academy driver, losing out to the McLaren Academy driver. Tappinen also part of the Ferrari Academy. So it's essentially Ferrari first and third. We then have Brando Bador then in fourth spot. Let's take a look at the replay. Now, we might be able to see, because it looked like, yes, it was a Santalot car, the 74. And I must say, immense well done to the rest of the field. Enzo Peugeot getting uprighted, and it looks like Enzo Dellini might have made contact as well. So truly a monstrous getaway from everyone involved, everyone fighting over for track space, and it's quite narrow here at Hungaroring, especially coming through the first sector where you have the apexes, and it's generally one line to take. And obviously, you do run the risk of tying up with another competitor on the run down through towards turn 3 and then uphill towards turn 4. But Tapinen started to check out slightly. 7 tenths becomes 8 tenths as he crosses the transponder, and Ugochukwu has been left wanting. In fact, Kamara closer to him than he is to Tapinen. Badur also in the mix in all this. Enzo Delaney in the familiar Red Bull livery, obviously part of the Red Bull Academy alike. And then further back we then have James Wharton, also representing the Prema outfit. It's unbelievable to think that in the last few seasons we have not seen a Prema take a race win around this very track. It's been all RHGP, and it looks like that trend's going to continue with Tapinen on top here. And his teammates, I'm sure, will be looking to try and join him. Enzo Delaney being one of them down in 5th place. As we see them come around now, that's the 57 that we're looking at further down. That's Noah Stromsted, whose father Morton was actually racing in GT action at this very circuit this weekend. Sustained quite the crash, but came out okay. Obviously, very much a racing family, and Morton Stromsted very proud of his son Noah, who has really come alive in this series. Last season, RPM gave him a few outings towards the tail end. He impressed and earned himself a return seat once again with RPM. They continue to place their faith in him, and for good reason, as they now hurtle downhill once more, coming out of turn 2 through towards turn 3. Kamara still very much waiting in the wings for his opportunity to pounce. Tapinen, though, in full control, and Ugochukwu in a prime position in 2nd place. Brando Badur, who has been fast all weekend. Collective test 1, he was fastest with a 1:39.602. And that trend continued with near successful assaults in qualifying, very nearly managing to pursue a grand result in the first race of the weekend. Of course, Tapinen would go on to take victory there too. Oh, very wide there from the Santalok. That's the number 2 belonging to Matteo De Parlo, just running a little wide. Teofil Nile, his teammate, I think was a little concerned, was just watching all over the back. I could see some fidgeting going on with the wheel. Michael Belov in his first start back here in the Regional European Championship by Alpine instead of, or in place of, Roman Belinsky, who is out with injury. Is now big lock up there from one of the Van Amersfoorts, further up and running wide as a consequence, and that's the 22 of Pedro Clero once again, who was also very fast in qualifying, showing some decent pace. And again, it's not just RHGP who have been successful at this circuit. Van Amersfoort have been in the past as well. And a little note, Kaz Havercourt is here this weekend. Of course, he won with Van Amersfoort back in, well, all the way back, needless to say, in 2022 in race 1. And he's racing in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland and took a convincing victory as we now pan back to the Santalok car belonging to Matteo De Parlo, just overstretching coming out of turn 7, and was left very much in the grass, but managed to recover it very well indeed. And there he is back out on track and looking to try and close down after Pedro Clero, but that's going to be easier said than done. Incidentally, purple first sector this lap here for Rafael Kamara, so looking to close the gap on Ugochukwu, and just look at it now, 3 tenths between the Brazilian and his teammate from the United States, who now head through the chicane at turn 6 and 7. Enzo Delaney watching everything unfold in front of him as well. RHGP were on the verge of taking a 1-2 until Zachary David was unfortunately given 2 penalties. 5 seconds for forcing Brando Badur off track at turn 9, and then later on would be penalised with another 5 seconds for moving on his grid position before the signal to start the race was given. So therefore was dropped further down the order. He's currently sat in 12th place, just ahead of Evan Gilter, the French F4 champion from last season and race winner earlier on this campaign. We went racing at Hockenheim in race 2. But not quite the same luck in hand here for Evan Gilter, who sits in 13th ahead of Nikhil Bora, with Noah Stromsted in behind him too. But as we take a look at the deltas now, Ugochukwu getting closer now to Tapinen. 6 tenths now between them, and it's 6 tenths between Kamara and Ugochukwu as they pass the timing line. Brando Bador getting ever closer, 4/10 in his last lap, closing up to Rafał Kamara on this occasion. Enzo Dellini around 8/10, but still within that second window, and I'm sure still very much in the slipstream. It only takes one domino to fall in order for this entire group to become mixed up. But Tuukka Tappinen under no illusions, and certainly with a well-balanced car underneath him, managing his race as he likes, very much like he did yesterday. And he spoke about how important qualifying on pole truly is. And if you want to take a look at great qualifying performances, bear in mind we didn't have any rain this morning. Track temperature was improving, and as we now see Petro Clero once again going wide. He has been certainly unhinged around this track since the start of the race. But a declaration certainly on his part in how he's trying to close down after Alessandro Giusti, the Williams Academy driver, who sits in 7th, running wide again on the escape before heading down in towards turn 12. But yeah, I mean, Tuukka Tappinen's performance in qualifying this morning was sensational, and I did allude to the ramping up of the track temperature, which sits at a staggering 46.7. So way beyond where we were this morning. Remember, it was around the realms of 31.3 degrees when we were under qualifying circumstances. But even with the increased conditions, Kamara was not able to take pole despite getting to near within the delta that Tuukka Tappinen had from his fastest lap in Group B. 2 poles in the weekend, could yet be 2 victories for Tuukka Tappinen. It's had a wonderful rise through towards the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, winning the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship this season. The perfect, I suppose, precursor to then taking part in a full campaign in this series, with Ugo Ugachukwu also looking to close the gap. Rafał Kamara doing a stellar job in his own right. He himself pulled off some mighty heroics in yesterday's race, climbing up the order and progressively on the rise, and managed to get himself into the podium equation. And certain assurances were made of that when the penalties were distributed. Of course, the results from race 1 still very much under subject to appeal, due to Santalok deciding to appeal the penalty that was given to Enzo Peugeot, as now we see the Santalok car of Mathieu De Parlo running out wide again. And Théophile Nile just there waiting in the wings. Ugachukwu now out to around 8/10 of a second as they come through sector 3. Rafał Kamara still 5/10 in behind him. Still Brando Bador clocking every move that the Brazilian driver Rafał Kamara makes. Enzo Dellini also just spying, waiting for an opportunity. James Wharton, who too is looking for his chance to register more points in his quest for greater success in this championship. But Alessandro Giusti is going to make it far from easy. There he is now, and has got Petro Clero still very much in behind. And I mean, Clero has almost visited every single segment of this track throughout the course of this race, really trying to push. And still sees himself ahead of Mathieu De Parlo. So now we rejoin the action up at the front. Tappinen in front and in charge. Ugachukwu with a decent drive so far, lifting himself from where he was off the second, or should I say that, yes, the second row of the grid, moving up 2 places. You can see the grid progression there on the left. Théophile Nile's had an incredible start, gaining 4 places, as has Nikhil Bora. Giovanni Maschio up 7 places alike. Also another driver that seems to have come alive since stepping into this championship last season. Very much a learning curve when it comes to understanding these cars, and given the fact you do have many different tools at your disposal in terms of the application of the push to pass, that can be utilised through the course of the season. And don't forget, folks, we do have the Race Resilience Award that has to be considered. Obviously, Maschio putting himself in place, or certainly in the window for that, as now we see a little attack here being brought down by Evan Gilter in his quest to bring down Zachary David as they now head through turn 13. David doing enough to fend off the encroaching attack from the ART, but the 2023 French F4 champion has managed to dislodge Zachary David from the slipstream that would be provided from those in front, so you never know. If Gilter gets the run later into the next lap, there could be a window of opportunity for Gilter as they head down the hill. Once more, this time taking turn 2 with Ugochukwu, who are currently panned across, the McLaren Academy driver in all papaya, despite being part of the Prema team. The team that he is oh so familiar with as well, competing in Italian F4 against Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who's in the frame for a Mercedes Formula One seat. It's been discussed at length. The rumour mill, no doubt apparent in amongst paddocks across the globe. And one thing that we have enjoyed this weekend has been the toing and throwing here at Budapest. The fan support here as well has been tremendous. As you can see, the full commitment on offer from Alessandro Giusti, who now flies through turns 8, soon to be turns 9 alike. Running a little wide there, James Wharton, which might throw maybe a slight levy of confidence across to Giusti, who's pursuing him right now. So Wharton just encroaching onto the AstroTurf, as we now watch as the two Santalocks bound together in this field. But certainly big points on offer in terms of the championship. Kamara bidding to become a podium sitter for 8 times in succession. Should he finish in P3? Not off the podium at all through the course of this season. But you can just see the top 4 now started to dislodge themselves from the rest of the field. Brando Bador being the last of this group of 4 cars. Like I said, impressive from his part, bringing a grand performance. I mean, of course, many of us know Luca Bador, who is also a former Formula One driver. Brando Bador looking to follow in those footsteps, competing in F4 UAE back in 2023. So not to mention Italian F4, Euro 4, ADAC F4, and you know, ever since 2022, he's been persevering with his single-seater racing career. This season, competing in the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship, and couple that with his full season of Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, and Van Amersfoort have taken him under their wing. As I alluded to Kaz Haverkort's brilliance back at Hungaroring in 2022. Haverkort taking a victory here today in the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland, which was racing here earlier on, so you could call that another Van Amersfoort success. A little bit twisty further back. We just saw in the distance, I think it was Zachary David just getting it slightly wrong again, and will no doubt open a door for Evan Gilter should that continue. As we now watch Michael Belov head around turn 13. We do, of course, wish Roman Belinsky all the very best. Michael Belov coming in to support this weekend for Trident. The road accident just prior to the Zandvoort weekend, meaning that he had to have treatment after breaking 2 vertebrae in his back. But hopefully after a little bit of time of rest and conditioning, and we will see, and recovery, of course, we will see Belinsky back in the near future, fingers crossed. Of course, he is a Formula Regional Oceania champion in his own right. We've had quite a few changes this weekend. Isaac Barashi coming in at MP Motorsport for Nikita Bedrin, who's running his split campaign with the Formula 3 Championship that is running in Spain this weekend at Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix Formula 1 weekend, that, of course, F3 is a supporter of. Also, Yuji Gao coming in for Costa Taparis this weekend alike. But, oh, we got a big crash there. I'm not sure quite what happened now. That looks like Nico Lacorte on the right, if I'm not mistaken. A familiar-looking Alpine livery, and if I'm not mistaken, too. Is that looked like it might have been an R race as well. Safety car has been deployed. So, incident between cars 23. As we now take a look, yes, it was Nico Lacorte, and that's Marta Garcia, who's on his outside. Wow, she had a bit of elevation coming through and ultimately hitting the barrier. So Marta Garcia in car 19. So obviously the other instance I was alluding to was something totally separate, but it does look like the number 7 of Nico Lecorte coming together with Marta Garcia, and therefore crashing out into the barriers, heading around turn 2. But all cars must come under formation now with 12 minutes and 30 or so seconds to go. As now Tucker Tappenden brings the delta down. Very soon they'll catch up with that safety car, which will pull the grid together once more. Remember, there was a gap between Brando Bador and Enzo Dellini further back. So that will be neutralised at this stage as they now catch up with the safety car. And very soon, hopefully, we'll go racing once more. We're just going past the scene of the incident now, and there you can see the cars belonging to Lecorte, Marta Garcia and Iron Dames on the left. F1 Academy champion, reigning F1 Academy champion from last season, who has also competed in W Series. There's Nico Lecorte and there's Garcia. Glad to see they're both okay. It's been a tough run-in for Lecorte this time around. Coming in as a rookie this season, scored his first points at Hockenheim, scored a single point on that occasion. Let's take a look at the replay again. Yeah, just coming in deep. I think maybe getting caught a little bit out wide, maybe a little bit of understeer creeping in to the car belonging to Lecorte. Marta Garcia taking the long way around. Essentially had nowhere to go, I think, at that stage, and heading out onto the grass. Two cars coming together and crashing into the barrier. Very unfortunate moment. Obviously, I'm sure the stewards will take a look at that and give their feedback. But certainly the fans, no shortage of action this weekend. They've enjoyed plenty of it. We've had 2 dramatic qualifying sessions with obviously the rain affecting the first one. And there's another car off at the side. That's the 11 of Isaac Barashi. And for a first weekend in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, I'm sure this is not one to remember on his part. Didn't have the easiest of qualifying sessions and now sees himself out of the race by the looks of it at this stage. But by the looks of things, from what we can tell, he's in a safe position off the track. So we'll keep you posted on that one, folks. Track temperature currently sitting at 45.2 degrees. Bear in mind, these drivers are wearing helmets as well, and the air temperature sitting at a very nice 28.5. So very hot out there at the moment. And speaking of heat, they're trying to get the heat into the rubber because whilst, of course, it is a very warm day, they want to make sure that their tyres are in the optimal window. And naturally, as the safety car comes out and brings the cars down to a steady pace, they will lose that heat and therefore the grip in the tyres. But they do have to be conscientious of wear because this circuit does provide high deg with its slow corners and progressive corners that can place certainly high intensity on the tyres, especially in the first and second sector. Third sector can also do it to you as well, basically everywhere on track as the crane goes to work. Clearing the 2 cars away as they now come over the crest through towards turn 4. Looking ahead, obviously, we've got some exciting rounds coming up in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. We've got Mugello coming up very soon, which always provides us with somewhat of a cracker. Paul Ricard, then after that, and then a trip to Imola, the region of Emilia-Romagna. We'll see once again the return of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Then it's a trip to Spielberg for the Red Bull Ring. Barcelona, then for the penultimate round of the championship, and then the Temple of Speed at Monza. Where better than to finish off a campaign than at a legendary track that has always brought us so much in the past. And I'm sure it'll be a wonderful occasion for each and every single one of these drivers beginning to become potentially budding Formula One drivers in the future. And look at that rear right on the MP Motorsport of Isaac Barashi. Clear suspension damage in the rear right. Not quite sure what's triggered that, but maybe some contact with a car right at the tail end of the field. But there is Isaac out to the car. The marshal's just surveying the situation. and look to get that car removed off the road. But the incident between Yu Zhigao as well, and I will say this, Yu Zhigao under investigation for overspeeding in the pit lane, so not adjudicating to the required speed limit in the pit lane. Of course, this is Yu Zhigao's first appearance, coming in, replacing Costa Taparis at Kick Motorsport for this weekend's round. As the cars now make their way down through towards turn 1. Tappinen still looking to bring home a second successive victory that will make it win number 3 this campaign. And he's aiming to bring that points gap lower, because coming into this weekend, Rafael Camara was on 136 points, with Tappinen on 63, and I'd imagine that, you know, despite Camara finishing in 3rd place in that prior race, obviously results subject to the appeal that Santalot put through, there will be some slight differences this time around, with 25 points going to the winner. And for 3rd place, obviously, there's 15 points going to Camara should it stay like this, which means that Tappinen would have earned himself 50 points off the back of this race weekend alone. Just factoring in those moments, and a 10-second time penalty has been issued to Yu Zhigao for the speeding in the pit lane. So he has been penalised for that, and that's almost insult to injury at this point, because he's 28th in the timing tower, just sat behind Enzo Peugeot, who had that moment earlier on. Isaac Barashi just behind him, but obviously Barashi seemingly out of the race, so definitely insult to injury for Yu Zhigao at this stage, and just hasn't necessarily gone to plan for him either. But certainly if you're coming in mid-season, it is a challenge to get up to speed so quickly, when I suppose you've had other drivers that have had full long campaigns already. Like I alluded to, we've already been to Hockenheim for the first round, Spa-Francorchamps for round 2, Zandvoort closed out our 3rd round. And it then brought us to Hungaroring now. We've got 5 minutes and 20 still to go. Camara will be looking for a decent restart when action does get back underway. Tuukka Tappinen, though, is going to be a very difficult and tricky customer to manage against. Ugachukwu splitting the 2. And this could be a big result for Ugachukwu to get his championship in full speed. Of course, this will be his highest point scoring result to date, only scoring in 2 races prior to this one, with 1 single point after finishing P10 at Zandvoort in race 2, and then prior to that finishing at Hockenheim in race 2 in P7 to obtain 6 points. So a first podium on hand here for Ugo Ugachukwu, and some major points to go towards his championship, which could see him rise higher than the Santalox of Teofil Nile, Matteo De Paolo, and could yet push him higher than Enzo Peugeot as well as Nikita Bedrin. So a very important weekend for Ugo Ugachukwu. But I'm sure, given that we've got the final minutes ticking downwards, he'll be hoping for something a little more than that, whether we will get back under full action again. Of course, remember, we do have 1 additional lap prior, or 1 additional lap after the timer is ticked to 0. So we do have to bear that in mind. Safety car is coming in this lap, so it's all going to come down to Tuukka Tappinen, the Ferrari Academy driver, looking for a triple dream here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. It could yet be a double tap for Tuukka Tappinen, for those of you who are fans of Call of Duty from back in the day. But heading through the latter sector now, it's Tappinen, Ugachukwu, Camara, Bador, Delaney in 5th, Wharton in 6th, Giusti in 7th, Pedro Clero in 8th, Matteo De Paolo in 9th, Teofil Nile in 10th. So we've got at least 2 Santalok cars in the top 10. Obviously, Enzo Peugeot had his moment earlier on, which places him now in 27th place. Further up, we have a fair representation of Van Amersfoort with Brando Bador, and not to mention Pedro Clero. And ART with Alessandro Giusti. Evan Gilterra a little bit too far back in 13th to break into that top 10, as now Tapperton puts his foot down in order to prepare to get back underway. Now, who's going to get a better run out of the final corner before venturing through towards turn one? There is Tapperton, there is Ugachukwu, Kamara, then Bador, with Delaney not getting the best of getaways and could yet be at the mercy here of James Wharton. We do have the two Santaloks coming together as now Enzo Delaney tries to defend the place. In comes Rafael Kamara at the inside of Ugachukwu coming through towards turn one. The two Prema drivers, teammates, coming together on the run out of turn one and now heading down towards turn two. Brando Bador has taken P3 and has relegated Ugachukwu down 2 places as a consequence. Kamara went for it, he took it, he got it, and now his teammate is languishing 2 places further back behind him as they now climb up through towards turn 4. Tapperton leads, Kamara now in second, Bador now in 3rd place. Ugachukwu looking to try and recover with James Wharton, who did manage to make the move on Enzo Delaney. We then have Delaney under pressure again. In comes Alessandro Giusti as they come through turn 6 and 7. Brilliant from Giusti, who now takes P6 away, and the Red Bull Academy driver at the mercy of the Williams Academy driver coming through the 2nd into the 3rd sector. Fabulous display at the restart. Goodness me, take a breather, folks. Tapperton out in front though still. He has been unperturbed, unmeasured. This performance has certainly been throughout the entire weekend. I mean, put it into context, qualifying was crazy enough, as now Pedro Clero comes under distinct pressure. He's got quite a sea of cars in behind there looking to try and take his place away alike, and no doubt with Santalok having the challenges that they have faced this weekend, redemption is certainly on the table. And that's exactly what Teofil Nile is thinking right now. Let's take a look at the replay. This was the move that Kamara had made very late in the day. He caught Ugachukwu by surprise and heading through turn 1 against his teammate, the Brazilian Rose, once again relegating the United States driver, the McLaren Academy driver, down into 4th. As now we see, again, yet more battling further back. Michael Belov in the heart of all of it. Zachary David looking to get a decent run, and look at this, Matteo De Parlo coming unstuck now as they look to go wheel to wheel. It looks like Belov might have his number as they come through turn 2, getting it wrong slightly as they head through. Matteo De Parlo doing well to rescue it somewhat, was very late on the brakes, and Michael Belov having to renege at this point, but has got obviously Zachary David that he needs to be concerned about in behind him right now. They'll scoot through turn 4. There we have it. Still very much in the positions they had prior to those moves being made. Don't forget as well, we got Evan Gilterra, now part of this fight, the reigning French F4 champion from 2023, following in the footsteps of his teammate Alessandro Giusti, who is further up the field. As we now also see the 52 making its way through. Incidentally, that's the RPM we just caught making its way around turn 8 as we now rejoin our leaders. Tucker Tapperton, Rafael Kamara, Brando Bador, Ugachukwu now slightly disconnected from the front 3, 1.5 seconds now away from Brando Bador, as now we see a little side-by-side action with MP Motorsport, the 47 belonging to Nikhil Bora, coming to blows with Noah Stromstead. And I do apologise, it wasn't a 52, it was a 57. It was indeed Stromstead applying the pressure to Bora, and it's on show once again as we now venture onto the final lap of the race here at Hungaroring, and Tucker Tapperton is clocking out with the fastest lap of the race here on this occasion to the Ferrari Academy driver representing the Prancing Horses, is prancing on, looking to become a 2-time race winner at Hungaroring, following in the footsteps of fellow R-Race driver from last season, Martinius Stenshorn, who took victory in race 1 and race 2 alike. And I can only imagine that Thibaut, their team boss, is going to be absolutely thrilled with this result once more, finishing ahead of their rivals, Prema, who was sitting in second with Kamara at the wheel. Let's take a look at this moment as well. Goodness me, now that's Laroslav Vasalaho, the Ukrainian, now levied to the tail end of the field. And last of the running cars alike, but Tucker Tapperton truly unrivaled this weekend. It all started after obtaining pole position in truly unfathomable conditions. And when we talk about versatility in terms of single-seater talents, Tappanen has it all. He makes his way out of turn 11 through towards turn 12. A trip then heading up towards turn 13. There he is right now, ahead of Rafael Camara, the Brazilian who gave it his all, managed to scoop up P2 away from his teammate Ugo Chukwu, losing out as a consequence. But on this occasion, if you want to win, you must hire a Finn, and Tuukka Tappanen will successfully provide the double tap for our race GP. It's a victory in race 2 to follow suit from race 1. Can he, by chance, take the championship? We are only at the midway point. And I must say, it's getting closer between he and Camara. Rafael Camara will finish in second, Brando Bador in third, Ugo Chukwu comes home in fourth, James Wharton in fifth, Alessandro Giusti in sixth, Enzo Dellini in seventh place, Pedro Clero in eighth, Teofil Nile and Matteo De Parlo finishing in ninth and 10th respectfully for Sansalok Racing. So more points going to Sansalok. Vitally important in terms of the overall championship, but what a display. Tuukka Tappanen, a triple dream has been achieved in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. And it's Tappanen who's done it. RSGP celebrating yet another win this season. Let's take you through the provisional results. Remember, the stewards have to go through the incidents. It was Tuukka Tappanen who took victory for RSGP, with Rafael Camara finishing second, Brando Bador in third, Ugo Chukwu in fourth, James Wharton in fifth, Alessandro Giusti in sixth, Enzo Dellini in seventh, Pedro Clero in eighth, Teofil Nile in ninth, then Matteo De Parlo in 10th, Michael Belov in 11th, Zachary David in 12th, Evan Gilter 13th, Nikhil Bora 14th, with Noah Stromstead in 15th place. 16th for Kanato Lay, Ivan Dominguez finishing in 17th, Ruiki Liu in 18th, Valerio Rinicella 19th, Giovanni Maschio 20th, with Edgar Pierre in 21st, Nanda Biran Bhakti 22nd, Alex Sauer in 23rd, Hesse Carrasquedo in 24th, Enzo Peugeot 25th, with Lina Bula 26th, Yu Zhigao in 27th, Yaroslav Vasalaho in 28th, Isaac Barashi finishing in 29th. But out of the race, we also lost Marta Garcia, Nico Lacorte and Roman Andriolo very early on in the race. So there we have it, folks. Well, we promised you entertainment. You got entertainment. So now the cars come into Parc Ferme. Brando Bador lining up in third place after a tremendous effort in trying to break into the top three. He did so successfully, taking full advantage after the big moment where Camara would snatch P2 away from his very own teammate Ugo Chukwu. But Tuukka Tappanen, Ferrari Academy driver, after winning yesterday, he's done the double here at Hungaroring once more. As I said, following in the footsteps of Martinius Denshorn, our race GP. Invincible, it would seem, here at Budapest. Yes, he says, and for good reason. The championship getting closer after 2 victories in succession. He's now got to try and hunt down Rafael Camara in the remaining weekends we have to come. As I said, we have got Mugello coming up next after this. Rafael Camara, in some way, probably does take solace from achieving the P2, but I must say, probably didn't want it to happen given the circumstances that it came about heading through turn 1, but still, nonetheless, he is there and still the championship leader here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Brando Bador, another fantastic performance this weekend, following suit from his stellar practice sessions where he showed himself to be fastest in free practice. Qualifying was pretty decent for him too. Yeah. Let's listen in. Not saying too much, just a case of enjoying the P2. He had to fight for his result yesterday. Finishing P3. There's Tuukka Tappanen. What a talented young man this he truly is. I mean, looking back, of course, we alluded to his championship win in the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship. Let's see how he did this. Of course, it was all about the getaway for Tapinen, covering off Kamara at the very beginning. Brando Bador getting the launch of his life. Enzo Delaney, too, seems to have mastered the starts this weekend. Of course, was hoovered up slightly by James Wharton on the run in towards turn one. Kamara would try and meet Tuka Tapinen through turn one as they then spearheaded their way out of turn one down towards turn two. Ugo Gachukwu getting the run on his very own teammate. We then saw Enzo Peugeot spinning at the very start, very nearly collecting a sea of cars who do very well to avoid it in the process. Pedro Clero was also dancing about on track, very much like his teammate Ivan Dominguez. We then saw the two Santalocks come in very nearly together on the escape coming out of turn seven. Teofil Nile losing it slightly. We then lost Marta Garcia into the barrier out of turn two. Nico Lacorte also barreling out. And we also lost Isaac Barashi with that rear right suspension issue. This was the moment where Kamara would take P2 away, contact with his very own teammate Ugo Gachukwu heading out of turn one. He would take P2 but relegated Ugo Gachukwu in the process. But victory once again for Tuka Tapinen in a perfect Hungaroring weekend. 2 poles and 2 wins.
Well done. Good job.
And no doubt it will mean a lot to him. The Finn back in front. It all first started back at Zandvoort. That was where the first win came around. It's not the first time he had been on the podium, however, scoring major results in prior seasons. But in terms of this championship, back in Hockenheim in the very first race, he did finish second behind Rafael Kamara. But this time, he topples Rafael Kamara and places the R-Race GP in ascendancy at this Hungarian circuit. There's Rafael Kamara just giving his plaudits to Brando Bador. Up to the top step goes Tuka Tapinen. And the representatives from R-Race GP, they will accept the Team's Race Winner Award. And Enzo Delaney, the highest placed rookie. And he's had a tremendous season in his own right. What a talent he is. And I would say, look to the future with that young man in the coming seasons. Brando Bador will lift the P3 trophy aloft for Van Amersfoort Racing, who, despite not winning this weekend, will take solace in knowing that they have got pace behind them with the likes of Brando Bador, and Pedro Clero was also looking really quick. Rafael Kamara with P2 for the Prema team. And then last but certainly not least, Tuka Tapinen receiving his winning trophy award. And you can bet your bottom dollar it won't be the last one this season, I am sure. Like I said, a very versatile performance all weekend. He did it in the rain in qualifying for qualifying one. R-Race GP will enjoy that one as their team representative accepts their prize. Next up, Enzo Delaney, the winning rookie, the Red Bull Academy driver. And we'll now have the Finnish national anthem.
Guys, again, we would like to ask you to...
So there we have it. Victory for Tuka Tapinen. A wonderful drive to secure a second win this season. A team photo, or certainly a podium photo with the rest of his competitors. But there'll be more of these to come, I am sure. Kamara's got to try and keep a lid on him. But folks, what a tremendous weekend it has certainly been here at Hungaroring. We've only just begun, really, though. We're coming into the second half of the season. Join us next time when we head to Mugello.